Hey, hi everyone, welcome back. And in this update about Algorand, we are actually going to do a full Elliott Waves analysis in the mid to long term and also after it on short term and see what is happening specifically in this important area. But again, before that, let's talk about what is happening in the mid to long term. So here's the situation. In Algorand, I am actually extremely bullish, and I have very important reasons for it. Reason number one, I think starting from the highest high to about the lowest low down here, about the 8 cents area, we are having a complete correction down in form of an ABC zigzag, and in terms of the subwaves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave down into a correction for wave B, maybe ABC, maybe WXY, possibly even a triangle, not important, and then yet another 5 wave down into C. Now, let's just go around here and count some waves. So, as you can see, this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave down into our A leg, followed by probably I'm gonna say a WXYZ in form of a triple zigzag into wave B, and yet another beautiful clear cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave down to about the lowest low into our C leg. And that, my friends, means probably in Algorand some sort of a low is set. I think we are probably talking about the final low, at least I'm going to say, in this cycle, if not the definite low, probably forever. Now, do I have some more reasons to be optimistic? The answer is yes. You see, if you want to say that we're gonna have our final low around this region, maybe this is like a very important support area, then okay, fair enough. Naturally, you need to be able to find, in terms of Elliott waves, off of the lowest low in this region, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave on the upside. This specific example is an impulse. Rules for this are, we should not have overlapping of the waves between wave 2 and 4, and in any kind of 5 wave, wave 3 should not be the smallest wave, and in terms of the subwaves, 5 wave up into wave 1, 3, and 5. And for wave 2 and 4, we can have many different counts. It doesn't really matter a whole lot. Let's say in this scenario, ABC into wave 2 and a WXY into wave 4. Understood? Okay, let's go on the live chart and count some waves. So, this point right in here, about 8.2 cents, is the lowest low. And what do we have off of it? I'm willing to say this is probably a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up in form of a leading diagonal, a wedge into a larger degree wave 1, followed by beautiful ABC zigzag into our wave 2, and then clear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into wave 3, probably an ABC, maybe even a WXY in form of a double zigzag, doesn't really matter, into wave 4, and yet another impulse up into our wave 5. And this is yet another very important reason for me to be optimistic in Algo. And here's the situation. Starting from this high moving forward, we can actually consider many different possibilities, and here is one that I like to talk about as sort of kind of my primary case. You see, I really cannot tell you that this point right in here was actually the end of our correction in Algorand starting from this high. No. Why is that? Because we said it earlier, if you want to be bullish and you want to call this point, for example, your final low, you need to be able to find off of it a complete 5 wave on the upside. However, I believe we can all agree that this is a very simple 3 wave movement. I'm gonna say probably in form of an ABC zigzag. Instead, I am going to argue that maybe this point right in here in Algo is actually our final low. Why? Because off of it, we do have, as you can see, a picture perfect 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave on the upside, and it's actually quite a strong move, which is at the same time a very important characteristic of an impulsive structure. Followed by that, I still do believe that the current move down that we are having in here is a correction structure. And what is one very important characteristic of a correction? You guessed it right, being slow and choppy. So let's just real quick compare this move down to its previous move on the upside. Timing wise, how long did it take for us to have this move? As you can see, about 130 candlesticks. On the other hand, this move up happened in only about 25 candlesticks. So from my POV, this suggests, despite having way more than enough time, it seems like that in this face down, bears absolutely failed to pull the price all the way back down to these levels, meaning bulls do still have the upper hand, and hopefully they are fully in charge and going to send the price up, maybe even soon. Who knows? Now, in terms of Elliott waves, this is the best that I can come up with if I want to say that this point starting from this high is actually the end of our correction. I think we may have a series of 1-2s in Algorand, which means we should probably see some major price explosions. And here is why. I think we can say this is a strong 5-wave up into a wave 1, followed by a correction for wave 2, and what's next? Huge move up into wave 3 and 4 and 5, and this is the key. Pay attention. I believe on a higher degree, this white 5-wave up is actually going to be into a larger degree wave 3, and then correction for another move up into wave 5. And here's the thing, wave 3 in terms of Elliott waves is usually a very strong and sharp move. So since according to this scenario, we're going to be hopefully soon on our way up to complete a series of wave 3s, we can say that Algorand is primed for a major sharp bull run, which is fantastic. That is exactly why we are here right now. Now, the question is, can we have some other possibilities? The answer is yes, and I want to talk to you about the possibility of having an ABC running flat, which looks like this. This is our initial move down into a correction for wave B, which we are going to take this important high, and then another move down into C. But here's the situation. In this phase down, we are not going to take the low of our A leg, and in terms of the sub waves, ABC down into A, ABC on the upside into wave B, and a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave down into C. Now, let's go around here. There we go. So, I said earlier, I really cannot consider this point the end of our correction in this phase. And if at the same time you don't really want to argue that this was the end of our correction, okay, I believe you might be able to consider this move up either as an ABC or maybe a WXY, and also before it, I think, yep, this can be another ABC down, and maybe from this high, we are having, I don't know, maybe like to about this point, a wave 1, correction for wave 2, another move down into wave 3, correction for 4, and yet another move on the downside into wave 5. And this is not going to be an impulse. No, this is, in my opinion, going to be an ending diagonal in form of a wedge structure into probably and hopefully the C leg of this whole ABC running flat. Now, what does this mean in terms of Elliott waves and overall structures? It means that we are not having a series of 1-2s, but we are still extremely bullish. You see, in this possibility, I can say, okay, this is 5 wave up into a wave 1. Now, instead of here, to about this point, we are having a correction for wave 2. And if this is happening, what's next? You know what? Major move up into wave 3 and 4 and 5. So this once more leads us to believe that in Algorand, we are primed for a magnificent move on the upside in the midterm. And by the way, when I say midterm, I mean the next couple of months. I would say probably the next 6 months to about a year. Now, we said overall we are 1000% bullish in Algo. What about the short-term structure? You see, I also have good news for you in that area. Let's go on this chart. Okay. If you remember, the last time that we talked about Algo, we were right around this area, and the idea was that we are absolutely able to find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up off of the lowest low, and followed by that, we can say this is probably an A, B, C on the downside, maybe in form of a running flat, and we can expect soon yet another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up in order to continue this short-term uptrend. Now, the move up itself in here is important, do not get me wrong, but what really matters from my POV is actually the shape of it. You see, this is a very strong move on the upside, and it is actually a characteristic of a huge wave 3, as opposed to the C leg of an A, B, C zigzag. So what is it that I'm trying to say? I'm trying to tell you, maybe in Algo, this is 1, correction for wave 2, and then I'm gonna say probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up into wave 3, and then correction for 4, and yet another move up into wave 5. And this is the key, pay attention. Even in like very short term, I am bullish, but I'm not going to ignore the fact that after a 5-wave up, we are going to have even according to the most bullish case, a correction structure on the downside. Okay, so if you see something like this, a very slow and choppy move, please, for the love of God, do not panic. This is actually going to be very normal, and potentially, assuming that we identify all the beautiful subwaves, it's actually going to be a great long opportunity as well, in hope that we get yet another move up, because on a higher degree at that point, you are probably going to see me saying, okay, this is 1, this is 2, and what's next? Big move into wave 3 and 4 and 5. Also, let's go on H4 time frame. Okay, so you see the lowest low in this area is actually not here. It's actually this one down here, about 14.5 cents. And we talked about this structure, I think it was a couple of videos back. I believe this absolutely can be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave in form of maybe an expanding leading diagonal. So here is what is going on in my mind. We are allowed to consider the possibility of having a wave 1 correction for wave 2, and then huge move up into wave 3 and 4 and 5. On the other hand, every analyst at any given moment should be able to come up with a bullish and also a bearish count at the same time. And so far, we only talked about the bullish possibilities. What about a bearish scenario? Well, here is the deal. I think instead of a 1, 2, 3, we can say maybe these are the subwaves for just a simple ABC zigzag. Is this going to be my primary case? I don't really think so. But what needs to happen in order for me to talk about this bearish count a bit more? I'm going to say probably from the current point, and I'm going to say maybe a bit higher, a very strong move down, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, without a whole lot of overlapping of the waves, in order to take this important low down here about 17.5 cents, because that could potentially confirm that we are having an ABC, and we are going to say at that point, unfortunately, our move down is not over. And do not get me wrong, even if we get this thing, the mid to long term scenario is still going to remain intact and absolutely bullish. Okay, it's just the fact that in the short term, we need to at that point change some counts. So let's have a quick conclusion and wrap up today's update, and maybe it's best to go on Binance. There we go. So in Algorand, overall, I am absolutely bullish, and most signs do suggest that we are going to have a fantastic bull run in this cycle. Now, are we going to have our major move up starting from the current point? I think there's actually a good argument to be made for the answer to be absolutely yes. But I do not at the same time believe that we should be jumping into those unnecessary bullish conclusions. I think we need to take everything step by step, and our focus right now should be on the fact that one way or the other, in terms of Elliott waves, we are looking great. Either this is a 1, 2, and then we're going to have big move up into wave 3, 4, 5, or maybe we are having a series of 1, 2s, and the outcome in both of the scenarios is absolutely the same, meaning a major bull run. Also, as my final point, in terms of classic TA, meaning support and resistances, I would like to highly suggest to pay attention to what is happening to this important cluster of resistance areas between 27.5 to about 32.5 cents. Because if you see in the current phase up in Algo, a break of this level, meaning we go above it and then do some consolidation, and followed by that we get yet another move on the upside, that actually could be a very strong bullish sign, indicating this is the low of our correction, and we are right now in an impulsive structure on the upside, meaning our major uptrend maybe has started already. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in Algorand. Anyway, if you found any value in my content, I would really appreciate if you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel and follow me on Twitter. And if you want more, maybe you want a complete analysis for your own specific crypto, or maybe you want to learn some decent TA in order to be able to make good money in the markets, you can become a member and ask me anything you want. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time. Goodbye.